The Calm Infinite Orchestra is a generative ambient sound system built with Tone.js, designed to create an evolving orchestral environment through asynchronous note scheduling, randomized pattern selection, and adaptive tone modulation. It is not a traditional sequencer but a living sound texture, constantly changing within defined boundaries to maintain calmness, unpredictability, and musical coherence. The architecture is modular, with independent instrument chains, dynamic audio effects, and behavioral rules that give each instrument a natural sense of presence and timing. The system is driven by two orchestral groups that operate asynchronously. Each orchestra consists of multiple virtual instruments, such as piano, cello, flute, and oboe, each with its own sampler and effect chain. The first orchestra plays in the lower register, focusing on foundational tones and long sustain, while the second occupies higher frequencies, introducing color and harmonic shimmer. Their timing loops are intentionally unsynchronized to create a floating, non-repetitive structure where combinations of notes never exactly repeat. Each instrument's behavior is defined by a pattern pool, a collection of short pitch sequences that represent typical musical gestures rather than melodies. Instead of iterating through these patterns linearly, the system randomly selects one at a time, with a simple memory mechanism to avoid immediate repetition. Every chosen pattern is slightly varied in pitch or octave through probabilistic modification, which introduces organic imperfections similar to how human performers vary phrasing unconsciously. This technique produces continuity without predictability, making the overall sound feel alive. A key element of the design is the dynamic modulation of amplitude and tremolo based on pitch range. The gain and tremolo properties are not static, but are calculated in real time according to the octave of the played note. As a note becomes higher, its amplitude is reduced, while its tremolo rate and depth increase. This mimics real acoustic behavior. Higher notes carry less energy but exhibit more noticeable fluctuations in timbre and intensity. The result is a psychoacoustically convincing balance where low tones feel stable and full, and high tones sound lighter and more sparkling. Each instrument chain begins with a tone sampler connected to an independent tremolo unit, gain control, and shared delay and reverb effects. The tremolo is continuously running but with modulated parameters per note event. Instead of abrupt value changes, the system employs parameter ramping functions, producing smooth transitions that prevent digital clicks and maintain emotional fluidity. The use of per-instrument effect chains allows individualized tonal character and spatial placement, which can later be expanded with panning, filtering, or convolution reverbs for greater realism. Timing is managed through the tone transport system, but rather than using fixed intervals, each instrument's loop duration is randomized within a range. This creates irregular overlapping patterns and eliminates rhythmic predictability, enhancing the sense of infinity. The loops are started with random initial offsets, ensuring that even on repeated playback, the phase relationships between instruments differ each time. The tempo is intentionally slow, emphasizing decay and reverberation tails, allowing the texture to breathe naturally. The effects chain plays a crucial role in defining the atmosphere. A long reverb decay establishes the spatial continuity between instruments, while a subtle feedback delay adds motion and soft rhythmic echoes. The overall gain is moderated through a master gain node, which makes global volume adjustments without affecting individual dynamic behaviors. Together, these effects produce the sense of a large, resonant space that envelops the listener without fatigue. From a design perspective, the Calm Infinite Orchestra demonstrates several essential techniques for generative music creation. It showcases how randomness can be controlled through weighted probabilities and constraints to produce variations that remain musically coherent. It also illustrates how parameter mapping, linking musical dimensions such as pitch to acoustic dimensions like gain and modulation, can simulate natural expressiveness. Furthermore, it shows the importance of hierarchical modularity, where each component, pattern generator, note scheduler, modulation controller, effect chain, can evolve independently yet still contribute to the overall texture. Students studying this system should focus on the relationships between structure, randomness, and control. Every randomized behavior is bounded by musical logic, ensuring that freedom does not turn into chaos. Understanding these boundaries is key to designing convincing generative compositions. Learners can expand the system by introducing dynamic spatialization, spectral filtering, or adaptive harmony mechanisms that react to the global tonal state. They might also implement machine learning-based pattern selection or tempo fluctuations tied to emotional states. Another important exploration is the incorporation of visual feedback, where parameters like tremolo frequency or amplitude are linked to gradual color changes, enabling multimodal representations of sonic motion. Ultimately, the Calm Infinite Orchestra embodies a philosophy of procedural calmness, using code to simulate the gentle unpredictability of nature. It merges algorithmic composition, psychoacoustic modeling, and probabilistic control into a self-sustaining environment that continuously evolves without looping in the traditional sense. Its technical foundation serves as a gateway to understanding generative sound design, showing how minimal rules can produce infinite expressive complexity when properly balanced between randomness and intention.